I started listening to Historian, written by Elizabeth Korsumov. There's personal storytelling in the book. I think girl at her age 16 in 1970s, and her father worked for diplomacy in Istanbul, Turkey, and she found a book. So later say, and she read it, and the book was some weird. It was talk about devil thing or some histories. It was written in 1930. So, and she curious about, and she asked her father about the book, and her father told her, and the book, he was a professor before he worked for diplomacy. And first time he taught, and then she learned literature, but he got interested in real story. So maybe he could be a historian. He worked for the university, and he went to the library some researching about the books, and he found an attic book. He read and he found, when he opened the attic books, there's the wooden cover, the illustrated in the middle of the book. And there was dragon, and also the cruel images with the Dracula. This story about this devil thing who and torture the people and kill the people, something like that. This is about Dracula. Actually, Dracula was a character on novel or filmed a lot, and Dracula was the real duke in Romanian castles, and he was a real man. But this is a story about some fantasy. Yes, the place is about Romania and famous Dracula, and these from chapter 1 and chapter 2. Listen to chapter 12, The Historian. Exciting. The plot or characters are well made. This story like one time story about Holy Goblet. I remember Langdar, the Professor Langdar, and Sophia, and her father was killed in the Louvre. Not sure that kind of this is two different theme. One is about Jesus Christ, and this one is about Dracula. Actually, the real vampire story in history. And here are three generations. Dr. Losis was from Oxford, who studied the Trinity College and at Oxford, and researched this Dracula from Istanbul, and also Dutch, Professor Dutch and Helen. Helen was the daughter of Lotzi, the professor. And there's the second generations. They chased. Actually, the Professor Dutch is researched about Draculas. And also Dutch's daughters and three generations. 1930, maybe I think 1960 or 50, and 1970 or 1980. So it was a story about three generation connection with vampires, and the clue is about letter and books and the lost map. So it seemed real vampire chased them. Quite interesting book. And also I'm so glad is this story or the author Elizabeth Kosovo and wrote well, and then so I could listen very easily. So audio book is very easily hearable. Yes. I listened to historians to chapter 19. Paul and Helen went to Budapest to meet Eva, Helen's aunt, and also Helen's mother. It was a long journey to Paul and Helen. Paul, who was researching the Dracula, and Helen's got a book from Sparta's book room, and they tried to figure out the history of Dracula. Actually, Dracula is the real features, and his fathers lived in 1600 is the on against the Ottoman Empire. A historical view, even we can find this history of Dracula Duke and on YouTube. And it was a long journey, and also Paul and Helen met a graduate historian professor in Istanbul, and then he helped them to figure out. And also they believed there was Dracula's tomb in Istanbul. This amazing story. Anyway, I watched Elizabeth Kostovo's interview in New Zealand. Quite interesting, and then she already wrote new book, Swan Thieves. I think she's a good writer because I can listen to her books, the historians. It's very simple sentence, and most of them, and also quite interesting part is it's quite a long journey, and the background is very very international part, Europe, East Europe, and then the Helen's hometown is Amsterdam, and also the Losis and the professor, the 1930s, in London. And they went to also Istanbul, Budapest. That's a long journey, and also three generations stories. That's quite interesting. And people who vampires, still sometimes didn't appear, and they try to get the lost map. Maybe I think the vampires didn't want to reveal the Dracula's tomb or his story. Not sure, but quite interesting novel is. And this is the third review on history. Okay, then. Listen to the historian, chapter part 44. Wow, 44. Almost more than 5 hours. The four met Dracula. Dracula. It was a story about what kind of story? A legendary novel character, but which was based on the real story, but not real. And because of Dracula, was the one of a novel in Romania, and also historically, he fought against the Ottoman Turk, and then three generations lost teacher, his son Bartholomew lost, and also Professor Paul, who studied the Ottoman Turk. Yes, and then the Paul and Helen in the end met. Bartholomew lost Helen's father. After then, the Lord warned them about Dracula. The four in the end met Dracula, and Dracula invited him, and then he talked about all the story, and then even he connected by biting Paul's neck and sucking blood. Wow. I wrote a story about something. I remember this kind of books, and then especially monetary or library is a very intensive background in the historian, like the name of the laws, the monastery only, and also the characteristic view about the story, Da Vinci Code, and something like that. But quite interesting story is it?